In this video, we're going to talk about using the session VWAP to potentially scalp futures on the 5-minute time frame. In addition to that, we'll take our usual look at the markets from our usual time frames from the daily 4-hour and 1-hour chart, talk about a couple of trades I took today. So that's what we're covering tonight. And this is Futures Brizio. It is 9 p.m. on Monday, November 17th. Hope everybody had a great weekend. And I'm sorry I didn't. My intention was to make this video during the late afternoon part of the session, but I just got tied up. I was not able to do it, and this is actually the first time all day that I've had to actually do this. So before we get started, as always, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Any questions or comments, leave them down below. And I appreciate it. Okay, so I'm just going to cover this first, and I didn't feel like I should make a whole video on this because, as you guys know, I'm not really a scalper, but this was something that I've been back testing a little bit, and it's something I might think about on those days where maybe there's potentially no setups on my preferred time frames, which is like the 1-hour, 4-hour, kind of a top-down market trend, basically looking at the daily chart and then stepping down to the 4-hour and the 1-hour, whereas I generally look for my entries, maybe down to the 15-minute to fine tune, but that sort of thing. That's kind of my bread and butter type trade. And I just don't prefer to scalp because I just think you have to waste a lot of mental energy and a lot of time just sitting in front of the charts waiting for these setups to come. When they do come, the market moves fast. You have to, kind of make quick decisions. And I feel like for the effort and the time you have to put in, it's very small reward. So whereas I can put a trade on for on a higher time frame, even if I'm only going to stay in it for that session, as long as I feel like it's got good potential to last the session, I can just kind of walk away from it and go back to it near the end of the day and see where we're at. I don't set a take profit or anything, but I just let it run. And sometimes, as you guys know, I'll let it run even into the next session too, or further, depending how far I think the trade will go. So that's why I don't want to spend a ton of time on this. But for those of you that still like to trade on short time frames and are just looking for something easy, here you go. So this is the VWAP session indicator. So if you go to indicators and you just type in VWAP, it's this one. Where is it? Oh, you know why? Because it's in my, I think it's already in my, no, it's not. All right. Sorry, guys. Guess I should have had that queued up for us, huh? Well, anyways, guys, this is it right here, VWAP session. So if you just type, let's just try just typing in VWAP. Not a good start to the video, I know. Oh, it's, I'm looking for a view. It's this one right here, volume weighted average price. Okay, it's the first one that comes up under technicals. All right, and you put it on your chart, and it's going to default to session, which is where you want to leave it. And then you can, of course, play around with the colors. I only have it showing on the 5-minute chart. That's how I have it set here, okay, under visibility. You can see I unchecked everything else, so it's only showing up on the 5 because I don't care. I'm not going to use this on any other time frame. And I did not change any of the settings in here. However, I did uncheck upper band, lower band, and band fill. So I just left the VWAP line on, okay, under style. And I changed the color and made the line a little thicker. You can do whatever you want with that. And so once you do that, this is what you'll see. Now, these green boxes are just the New York session, trading session. So this is the trading sessions indicator, which is a very popular indicator. You just type in trading sessions, this will come up. And I just uncheck Tokyo, London. I leave New York checked, and I just leave it from 9:30 to 4. And I leave pretty much everything else. And of course, same thing on this one. I only want it showing on the 5-minute chart. So there you go. All right. And I unchecked all this other stuff: show session name, show tick range, show average price. All right. It's just stuff that just clutters up the chart that I don't need. You can see all this. Okay. So I don't care. So I only wanted to see the session outline, and you can of course change the color to whatever you want. So I kind of left everything this nice cool green color, and that's what we're going with. Okay, and so here's the theory behind this is essentially now I think it's best to wait about half an hour into the open. Okay, but you don't necessarily have to. But I certainly wouldn't do it on the first 5-minute candle because there's a lot of crazy whipsawing that goes on. So wait at least one candle close, preferably up to a half an hour candle close. And at that point, you're going to look and see if price is definitively trading over the VWAP, then you can consider a long position. And if it's trading under, you can consider a short position. So this was today, and this happens to be live cattle I'm looking at. And so here's that crazy opening candle where it's actually below, but closed bullish. All right, so you ignore that first candle. Here's the second one. And then for the rest of the day, this was not a very active day, and you can see price did not make a lot of progress here, but it would have been a positive trade, although again, not great. Okay, on Friday, this was Friday, and I want to show you because these are two very kind of slow days, and this is one of the issues I have sometimes with trading on these short time frames. If you have a quiet day, again, you could be, end up tying up time and capital all day for basically nothing. So here was Friday, had a big opening candle to the downside, and then the next one came back very bullish. You go long here. If you had stayed in this trade, and you can see it did go up, make this little high, came back down, ended up closing the day right here, which if you held this for the entire day, let's just say, now this is a Friday, I probably wouldn't have. Anyways, I probably would have been out of it by noon time. But even let's say you held it, really, even if you had held it any time from about 11 a.m. till the end of the day, you would have been in all this chop, and you would have closed here, entered at best right here. This is a very small game. Remember, this is only a 5-minute time frame. Okay. If you go back to the day before, here's Thursday. First couple of candles, nothing. Then boom, this big bearish candle, and this would have been a pretty decent day. But again, guys, it's a 5-minute time frame, so take that for what it's worth. We did have a nice little pullback here, so this would have actually technically been another entry if you were still bearish. Now the other thing is, maybe in real time you would have panicked, closed this trade, and then gone long, only to have this thing roll over and keep going down. So I would say once you make your decision about a trade early in the session, just keep it, okay? Because even at 10 o'clock, if I said, wait a half an hour, the price was still trading below the VWAP at 10 o'clock. So either way, you still would have been looking for shorts here. And obviously, you want to make sure you put your stop loss in the right place, because these frequently will pull back. And remember, this is a short time frame. You can allow for a little bit of breathing room. So I probably would have put my time frame, again, against a reasonable previous swing, which to me probably would have been way up here from the previous day, and that would have been fine. Okay. Next day after that, here was our open right here, 9:30. And now if we scroll over to 10 o'clock, this candle right here, this little doji right here was our 10 a.m. candle. So this is one that right on the line. If you had gone long here, this would have been a losing trade. If you had waited another 10 minutes, you would have had this big bearish engulfing candle, and the price did go down. So again, this is the issue on these 5-minute time frames. Very easy to have panic attacks and quickly close trades because price is moving so quickly. And that's the thing. I mean, this is all in hindsight. The market is closed, and so you're looking at things in hindsight and static. Okay, very easy. But in real time, these candles are painting very, very quickly, and it's very easy to psychologically get sucked into a trade, and very easy to psych yourself out of a trade you've already gotten into and close it prematurely before it has a chance to develop. But here, this would have been the trade to the downside. Okay, we did make a low down here around 12:30. Did pull back, ended the day pretty good. So if you did end up entering the short, put your stop up here and just leave it alone. I mean, if it rolls and goes up, then you get stopped out. And if it really spikes above here, maybe you think about a long position, right? Try again on the long side, or that's it. One shot per day. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Okay. Day before, this was another flat day. You can see right here. You probably would have gone in short. You would have ended up at best about break even on this one. Okay, and then here's this day. Now this obviously is a cherry pick day, but look at this, ended up open with this bullish candle below VWAP. Very next candle came back and just continued to rip to the upside, closed basically at the highs for the day. So this is the one you hope for, out of what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of a half a dozen trades I showed you. Since showing you this, you had one really ripper here. The rest of them were either flat to, smaller moves. This one here wasn't too bad. Okay, but this is what you're going to hope to catch on just basically a trending day. Okay, now, you certainly could, decide that you only want to trade in the direction of the larger trend. So just for a quick laugh, let me just highlight this area. We'll jump out to the higher time frame just for a sec here. And here's that area on the higher time frame. Okay, this is the 1 hour chart. Now, this is a downtrending market, so this is actually a counter trend trade, but it would have been a good trade, and then here's that quiet day we had, and then here was that downside move. So you could decide that you want to only trade in the direction of the larger trend. That's fine. But understand that when you're trading on a short time frame like this, and you're only going to scalp or stay in this for the day at most, counter trend trades are perfectly acceptable. If it happens to be again in the direction of the larger trend, great. But in this case, it certainly didn't need to. Okay. So that's really it, guys. I'm not going to keep beating a dead horse. I could keep scrolling back here and showing you example after example of where this works and where it might not work. Here's 2 more quiet days right here. Okay, where these trades would have either ended up being, losers or break even if you let them ride out the whole day, or a tiny profit or a small loss, whatever. So it's not going to work every day. But of course, you could do this on a couple of different assets and just see, maybe one of them works out. But of course, if you start doing it on too many and they all fail, then you have multiple losses instead of just taking 1 loss or 1 win. Okay. So you have to make those calls. And again, my whole thing about trading on these short time frames is that it looks great in hindsight when it works, but in real time, it's not quite so easy to pull the trigger to get into a trade, because you always have that little question in the back of your mind whether that's just, especially in that first few opening candles, to see price reverse. So the other thing I would suggest, if you have a favorite asset you like to trade, that you back test this. Go back through, I would say, well, I mean, I'm not going to tell you how many to go back. Go back to whatever you feel comfortable in knowing, that you've tested it enough, and see how often that it actually works. Okay. And because you might find that some assets are better with this than other things. Okay. And so that's what you need to find out. Okay. Now you're going to have assets like soybean futures, where this is, of course, the overnight session. So these big gaps in between, you can just ignore everything in this black area. This is the area you want to look at. So here was soybeans today, just for a laugh. This would have been, a good trade. This one would have been a good trade down. Okay. This one here, depending when you got out, might have been a good trade. I mean, if you pick the top up here, great. But, if you decide you were going to hold it the whole day, it probably would have been about a break-even trade. So you get the point. Go ahead and back test this if you want to use it, okay? But I just wanted to point that out. I'm not going to make a full video on this because, honestly, it's not something that is going to be a regular thing for me. But it's something that does have a little bit of interesting characteristic. And if I do take any trades, I have not taken any trades with this yet, but if I do, I will let you guys know, and we'll talk about how it worked out. Okay. All right. So now we'll just move on to our regular trading, and so we're going to jump out. We'll start on rice. Okay. And what I've been talking about on rice is this area down here. Now, we've been in a very steep downtrend here for many months. Even if we don't count this one, we start from over here. This was April of last year. Okay, we've been in a downtrend essentially since April of last year, late April. Okay, all the way to where we are now. Now, it doesn't mean we can't go lower, because this is a weekly chart. If I scroll out here on this weekly chart, and you can see here, if you look to the left, this area here between about $9.50 and $10 has been an area where the market has found support going all the way back to 2007, this area. And then again in 2010, 2015, all through 2016, 2017, 2018, and now where we are now. Now, it is possible it'll go a little bit lower from where it is now if this area is going to play out again. We still could keep going down here for a period of time. Maybe we see some kind of false breakout to the downside that finally takes out that area and then rallies back. I don't know. But I'm just saying, this doesn't mean it can't go low. If we continue to scroll out, you can see that there are more lows sitting below here. There's this low back in 2005, and then this all-time low as far back as my chart goes to 2002. So there are more lows back here, but by far this area, again around $9.50 to $10, is clearly an area that has a lot of focus in terms of the buying kind of petering out and the buyers really protecting this level. Okay, so that's where we're at with rice. I am not interested in trading it at the moment just because of this. But to me, this potentially looks like an accumulation zone. And so let's see what happens. Although, like I said, I would not be surprised if price makes another push down here. Maybe we get like a big, maybe a couple of days of it going lower, or maybe one big engulfing candle that pulls in the sellers again, and then we reverse back inside the zone. I don't know, but I'll keep an eye on this. I'm not really interested in shorting it from where it is right now. But I'm also not ready to buy it yet either. Okay, so let's keep an eye on this. Remember, from a seasonality standpoint, we are in a again, from a seasonal standpoint, we are still in a bullish period between now and the end of January. So we do have that on our side. And I also want to point out again, guys, we still do not have commitment of traders data. I've looked a couple of times today, and this is about what I suspected when the government reopened, that there would be a delay between when it reopened and when we actually get that data updated, because I'm sure it's not a high priority for whoever it is that, whatever group or person or persons that have to actually put all that data back in. But I'm sure we'll get it back eventually. I am checking the CFTC website a couple of times a day, refreshing it and seeing. But as of even this evening, it still says September 23rd, which was the last update. So we still do not have COT data for anything. Okay, so there's just no point talking about it because we don't have it. So okay, so that's rice, just kind of in the holding box. Okay, so soybean oil. Well, soybean oil to a little less extent we'll look, but soybean and soybean meal pretty much did exactly what I thought what would happen. We are still in a bullish trend here, and bullish seasonally. Remember, on Friday we had this big bearish candle that just popped into the market late in the afternoon during the afternoon session. This was the 12 p.m. candle on Friday. Okay, which for grains, that's very late because the market closes at like 2:20, 2:30, something like that. And we had this big candle that closed at the low, and because of some news that came out, some grain yield news, and there was obviously a bearish reaction to that, and the market came all the way down. But if we look at the daily chart, You can clearly see that we have this kind of zone right here that I had marked off on Friday. Okay, and we kind of tapped right back into that area. All right, and came right off of it, and boom, made new highs today. Okay, so that was pretty interesting, but this just shows, you know, these markets can be very volatile. Okay, and it doesn't take much in the news. These are not, you know, well, these markets are pretty heavily traded, especially the full contracts. So I shouldn't really say that, but you know, they are very subject to news and they can be very volatile. And this obviously was a flush and dump, right? Trying to just stop out people that were long with, you know, on shorter time frames with stop losses up here somewhere. Came all the way back down. Now your long-term traders, your swing traders, those that you know, are marking out zones like this, they probably were okay. Although this candle probably really scared the heck out of them. But assuming that they had gotten into their trade sooner and had a stop loss maybe down here, they were fine. Okay, it bottomed out. This was the 12 o'clock candle. This was the 12 to 4, the last candle for the day. And you can see on this, no, actually, this was the Sunday open. Price, you know, wicked down and then went straight back up ever since then. Okay, so again, I do expect uptrends to continue in soybeans. Just based on the trend and our seasonality patterns. If we look on the weekly chart, we do have a potential zone sitting up here on this old downtrend. There is an area right here that price probably will react to, but I don't see anything that's going to keep it from getting at least up to here. Okay, so I would be looking for longs just to continue until we get somewhere up near that line I just drew on the weekly chart. Okay, so this could easily be, you know, a couple more weeks, potentially a couple, 3 weeks before price makes it up here. So I'm still bullish on soybean, and I will look for entries as appropriate on the shorter time frames, and we'll see. Obviously, market is open for the overnight session right now, but I don't trade this session, so I'm not really interested in anything it's doing right now. Okay, soybean oil. This chart's quite messy, but let's zoom out a little bit. Now, again, I've told you guys I'm not a huge trend line person, but let's look at the daily chart. We were been trading down, bouncing, holding this trend line here. 1, 2, 3, 4, basically 4 touches of the trend line. And then on this last one, we came down here. We did technically put in a new low, but price struggled to get down here. Came back up, put in a higher low, which is not necessarily too impressive right here. Then we had this big bullish engulfing candle last Monday, a week ago. And then price tried to go up, came back to what was this previous resistance area. Okay, which I always say, versus a trend line break, I like to see price actually break a previous structure. So if you delete this trend line off the chart, you can clearly see this, and your eyes are not pulled towards what this trend line is showing you. But be that as it may, it did come back up to this resistance area, pull back. And this is kind of a classic trend line retest where it broke the trend line, came back, retested it as support. And then today, again, along with the rest of the soy complex, we had this big bullish candle up here today. Now, again, we are right back into the resistance zone, which basically is this orange box. And for me, I still want to see price clear all these highs at the top of this box and then move higher. And I think if it does that, I'd be more apt to be comfortable with long positions, because this still could end up being a rejection, a false break, and a rollover. But it looks pretty good. I won't argue with that because of these strong bullish candles, this classic retest from the top, and then followed up by, you know, after a touch of the trend line, followed by a big bullish candle up. So I'm not going to lie, it looks really bullish. But, you know, personally for me, I'd like to see it clear all of this resistance area, because you can see, like I said, it's a very messy chart. especially with all my drawings. um, and here's this little secondary trend line. This is the main one it broke and retested. And then we had this corrective move down. And you can see today it broke this little minor 4-hour trend line right here and went up. Okay. And now we've reached this zone again, pulled back. And this is also another bullish sign because you see now it is the overnight session, so you have to take that into account. But you can see these are very low volume candles. And this was the 12 o'clock candle, the final candle of the session. This is the overnight candle here. So, but these are, very small candles, wicks on both sides. And so, following a very bullish candle like this, engulfing candle, you expect to see some sort of reaction like this. So I would expect that will probably continue to drift lower overnight. But when London reopens, which I'm not up for that session, that we might see another push deeper into this box, which would be fine with me. I want to see it kind of take out this area entirely. And, then I think prices can go substantially higher. Okay, because this market has been held back versus the rest of the soy complex. Canadian dollar. Okay, so again, just take a look in the higher time frames. Clearly in a downtrend. Here is our last market swing in this larger orange box. And then we zoom down a little bit. We had this pullback. We came down here. We did break some structure right here. We actually broke structure. Technically, we probably broke structure on this candle. So we broke structure, then we kind of moved sideways. Again, you can draw a small trend line here, and we had this break. I took this short today. I did close it this afternoon, right around the market close, or maybe an hour before. And so it was a good little day trade. Basically, I took this candle right here, and then I got out. This blue one, this bull candle started forming, and I got out at that point. Although it probably could have held it. But we'll see. I do have a little bit of concern, although I don't think it's warranted. Yeah, I'm not really too worried about it. So I do think that this has potential to keep going down, and that this was just another swing. If we do end up making a new low from this move down, then obviously this box will be moved down to here, and then we just go as we go, right? But we'll have to see. I'm leaving it here for now because there has been no new low put in as of yet. And if this little secondary 4-hour swing holds and this keeps going down, I'll just erase this altogether. So take this and this trend line off the chart. But will we get a retest of this trend line? Maybe something like this where price comes up and retests this trend line, then goes down. Maybe. We'll see what happens tomorrow. All right, but I'm still bearish on the Canadian dollar. Okay, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on soybean meal, almost a carbon copy of what happened with soybeans. And there you go. Here's our daily zone. Here was that bearish candle on Friday, tapped back right into this zone perfectly, and then made a new high today, pulling back now in the overnight session. So no need to spend a lot of time on that. I continue to look for long positions in soy meal, and I did take one today. I got out later in the session, so I did not choose to hold that one overnight, although again I probably could have. Corn, pretty much the same thing. Corn had a much bigger bearish candle. This is the 4-hour chart. This was Friday. Look at the size of this candle. And this had to do again with crop yields. And for those of you that like fair value gaps, I'm not necessarily a big fan of all that stuff, but there is a fair value gap right here, right? 1, 2, 3 candles. The first and third candles, wicks don't touch. And this is a very bullish candle. Okay, closed near the highs, basically an engulfing candle. And you can see price came right down and split this candle right in half, i.e. fair value gap, filled that in. Did make an attempt to push a little lower into the lows of this candle, and then boom, shot up today, and again pulling back here in the overnight session. Okay, but overall, especially if this high, if price comes back up and takes out these highs, then that's a definite confirmation of the uptrend continuing. Now, on the same token, if these highs fail, or it fails anywhere in here, and we continue to come back down here, then that would change my perspective totally. But right now, I'm looking at that this was just a big sweep and a big flush and dump, and that, we'll continue to move up here. But this is a really big candle, so. Okay, and then lastly on cattle, and I know you guys saying cattle, I thought you were trading live hogs. I go back and forth between the two. They're actually pretty similar. But anyways, cattle's been in a downtrend as of after really a lot of run to the upside. I mean, look at this chart. Cattle has been basically going up. I have to go to a weekly chart. Cattle has basically been in an uptrend since April of 2020, since COVID started. This market has been in an uptrend. Okay, so I do not pick tops, but you can see, at least in the short term, you can see here on the daily chart, we did finally break some structure here last week. Actually, no, even further. This is the weekly chart. November 3rd, so 2 weeks ago, we broke market structure here. And now on the daily chart, you can see we've been trading down. And a lot of this has been driven by the president lifted some tariffs on foreign beef because the price of beef really, he was trying to basically, prop up the U.S. market by tariffing imported beef. But all that was doing was causing even higher prices. So basically he said, I'm going to take the tariffs off and I'm going to encourage the U.S. Producers to lower their prices because again, according to him, that there's been abuse of the market in running prices up so much. And it looks like the market might be listening to him a little bit, but we'll see if this is sustained or not. So right now I would put, a zone probably somewhere about here. Okay. And so this is, what I would feel becomes our daily zone range here. You could probably, yeah, I mean, something like this. I mean, you can tighten this up however you want, but you can see we are trending down. And then, so to see price come back up here and then potentially roll back over, see price come up somewhere, maybe no higher than it is now, I don't know, and then eventually turn and make a new low here. So we'll see how that works out. The next kind of zone here to look at for support is probably sitting back here somewhere, which still would allow for probably at least a couple of days, if not longer, to get down here. So this would be the next area. I'm not saying price will reverse from here, but the next area where you probably would see any real, support and bouncing around would probably be somewhere down in here. So I think, in the meantime, short term, I'm bearish on this market. Okay, I did not trade it today, even with that 5-minute scalping strategy. But if I see another short setting up tomorrow, it might be one that I might be inclined to take if it looks like maybe we're going to start going short. All right, so that is cattle, and that wraps it up. So hopefully that was helpful, guys. Again, so we reviewed the VWAP on the 5-minute time frame. For those of you scalpers and short day traders that insist on having some kind of action, that is something you can do. Like I said, I might consider it on days where I'm not seeing any setups on these higher time frames, and I want to, maybe just take something that's a little bit of FOMO, but if it looks good, maybe I'll take it. But I'm certainly not going to abuse it, though. So, we'll see what happens with the rest of these things. Again, still bullish on the grain complex. Rice, just waiting to see if it breaks out of that accumulation zone, if that's what it is. Canadian dollar, and cattle, still bearish on these markets for now. So, all right. So that's it, guys. Again, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Questions or comments, leave them down below. And I'll be back tomorrow. Have a great night. Sorry this video is late. Most of you probably won't see it until tomorrow. But it'll be a good warm-up for the market tomorrow. Okay, take care, guys. Have a good one.